Hey everybody, Greg Harris here with Leapfrog Landcare. It is aeration and overseeding time for fescue lawns, not warm season lawns, but fescue lawns here in North Carolina. It's mid-September now, and one of the things when you're putting new seed out that you have to make sure you do is you gotta water. Now, if you got an irrigation system, you're thinking no big deal, set the timer, boom, I'm good to go. Other folks go, I don't have an irrigation system, what am I supposed to do? Well, you gotta figure it out, because that new seed has got to be watered if you want it to establish. Otherwise, when they're throwing seed out, you're kind of throwing your money out with it. So, got to get the seed established. I'm not saying you got to water forever, but first 2 to 3 weeks is vital for that new seed to get watered well. I don't have an irrigation system in my house. Don't have one at my shop. What do? We have found that there's some items, some little irrigation system things that you can do on your own. This hooks to your hose bib, your outside hose faucet. There's one that it's got one port. Guess what? One hose goes off of that. You set your sprinkler up on it. You set it up for a timer to run, and it actually worked great. This one has 2 of them. So on one side of my house, I can have this set up, and I can have a hose going out this way. I can have a hose going out that way with a sprinkler hooked to it. And it'll ask me for the different zones what time I want to do things for, how long I want to do it, and how often. And then the other side of my house, well, got to buy a lot of hose for this one because it's got 4 ports on it. That means you can set up a zone for 4 different sprinkler systems to run off of it. Now, this is probably more for a larger property that has a lot more space to cover. But the cool thing is, if you set this up, you can buy different hose, you can run it out to where the sprinkler is going to be, and you can almost set it and forget it. Now, I don't truly recommend set it and forget it and not think about things. What I'm trying to do with this video is just trying to help you think through the scenario of how you can water your lawn. Some folks, house I used to live in, what I'd do is I'd wake up in the morning, we had aerated and seeded our house, and I'd go out while I was eating breakfast and getting ready. I'd turn on the sprinkler for about 20 minutes while I ate and got ready, and then when I'd head to work, I'd turn it off. My wife would usually get up about an hour after me. I'd say, hey, set your alarm to, when you wake up, set a reminder up for you to turn on the backyard spigot and water the backyard or the side yard. And that's how we used to have to do it. And sometimes on a hot day, I'd ask my son when he got home from school to turn on the sprinkler and let a section that gets sunnier water it longer. So different things there. So these things are awesome. You can get them at Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace or Town and Country Hardwares. They are really simple to set up and run. Big thing with it is making sure that you have the seal in here. It's got a little seal, so when you're tightening this thing up, turn on your water, make sure it's not leaking. Otherwise, you're gonna have a problem. Now, as far as what type of hose to use, most folks that I've seen normally get the little cheap old hose, the skinny one with the little ends, and you think that's going to work for my house, and it may, and not knocking it, but I found out that the thinner hoses, they don't flow water through them as fast, because the bigger the hole, the more volume can flow through, right? The ends are actually the same on this, as the size as this one, but this is a lot beefier, and it's got they both got seals in them. The little skinny cheap one leaks a lot worse than the big thick reinforced one. So look at that type of stuff. It doesn't have to cost you a fortune with these things, but I found buying good quality hoses makes a big difference. And especially when you're making sure that thing is tightened up well and you can really get onto it. So other question we get a lot is, what type of sprinkler should I use? We got the little ground ones here that go round and round. We got the big tripods that look like they could go forever. Then you've got the back and forth. Which one is right for you? Man, I don't know, because I don't know your home, your layout. You got to figure it out. Sprinklers are like hats to me. Man, you got a visor. Woo, hot day out. I can keep the sun from getting in my eyes. My head's exposed, so I can be a little cool. Don't have to hold the heat in. That's great. But if you don't have as much hair up here and you're wearing a visor, whoo, your head might be burnt by the end of the day. So you should wear one like this, right? It's got a little venting in the back. Helps hold the heat in, but lets some of the coolness out, but I'm more protected. But man, some of these things look like engineer hats and don't want to look like a train going down the street. So you may throw on one like this and it's a little more form-fitting and cool. You might like that, but if you're at the beach hanging out for 3-4 hours, man, my big old ears are gonna get fried. So I gotta have this type of hat to, my wife calls this my Gilligan hat. Covers my ears, covers my neck, covers my forehead, my eyes. I'm good to go. Sprinklers, which one's right for you? If you've got trees with low limbs that are going to block, if you got the sprinkler that goes back and forth, and you got limbs, we've seen this many times where it's going over here and the tree limbs and leaves are getting a lot of water, but the grass underneath it isn't, then you don't need one going like this. You need a lower ground one that's going to be going around and getting that lower coverage. You may have a big long distance. You may want a tripod to help throw it out, or you may be doing a more narrow area. My front yard at my house is pretty rectangular, so the little round ones that spin around in circles don't really do that great of a job at my front yard, but my backyard they do great. But front yard, I do have one of those that goes back and forth. So you got to figure out what you need. There's a lot of different solutions. These sprinklers aren't that expensive really. The hose, the timers, really, if you're looking at something as an investment for a few years, these things are great. And the big thing is you can set it up to where it comes on at 6 in the morning, waters your lawn. You didn't have to think about it. It can go through 4 different zones, and it's awesome. You're keeping your grass seed wet. Notice I didn't say drenched. You want to keep it damp the first couple of weeks and get that seed off to a good start. All right, thanks a bunch. Hope this helped out. Greg Harris with Leapfrog Landcare.